Good afternoon. This beautiful fall weather brings pleasant and rich memories of the Fort Omaha Intertribal Powwow in its 31st annual year. My name is Barbara Velasquez, and I'm back to welcome you to continued programming for this year's Fort Omaha Virtual Intertribal Powwow. I look forward to seeing you this entire week for virtual programs from today through Friday, September 23rd. Visit mccneb.edu/powwow-schedule to see the full list. I'll add that link to the chat. We thank Isabella Aguirre Whitedress of Lala Sioux Lakota for representing this powwow as the reigning princess. Watch with us on Friday to see Isabella during the Princess Contest that will begin at 1 p.m. CDT. The 2022 powwow theme is investing in our future. Our goal is to enhance the lives of those who watch this week, but also serve as powerful learning tools and entertainment far into the future as on-demand viewing opportunities. Your microphones and chat with other audience members are turned off, but you may always contact the host. Send your questions at any time to moderator Barbara Velasquez. Please watch the chat for a link to the online evaluation toward the end of the program. Attending today's program and completing the evaluation with your contact information will enter you into a free drawing for a beautiful star quilt. And you'll see that quilt in today's presentation. Honor, tradition, and generosity. For many, these are the words and memories that are connected to a star quilt. The star quilt artist joins together small diamonds in 8 sections to create an 8-point star patterned after the last and brightest star in the eastern horizon before dawn, called the morning star. This star is a constant reminder of nature, and for some, it is believed that the morning star represents the way the spirits come to earth, serving as a link between the living and generations that have passed. Today, I'm excited that we will have the opportunity to learn from an artist and educator who delights in teaching others about the important history, skills, and significance of the star quilt. Sit back and enjoy the recording, jot down your questions, and then we will have a live opportunity to learn more from Patty Provost, Ho-Chunk, Wisconsin, Winnebago, and Carolyn Fiskus, better known to many as Big Mama, from the Winnebago tribe of Nebraska. So now it's time to start the video. Enjoy.
Good afternoon, relatives and the powwow world out there. I'm honored to be able to talk with you today and introduce my sister here, and we're going to talk about the star quilt. You see this beautiful star quilt in front of us as a table decoration, and we're going to talk a little bit about why this came to be, why the star quilt came to be, what it means. And I got to preface it with saying that, every tribe has their own interpretation, every culture. So what we say today here, we don't know everything, but we tell you could take to the bank. Let's say it that way, okay? So I want to introduce my sister. This is Patty Provost, and we're both members of the Winnebago tribe of Nebraska. Well, she's a member of Ho-Chunk Nation, poor thing.
Wisconsin, Winnebago.
Yeah, Wisconsin, Winnebago. And I'm with the pitiful Nipadishka Winnebagos. But Patty's mother and my mother were sisters, and we grew up together. Patty learned some good things. I kind of learned just go to college and keep working, teaching, but Patty learned how to do these star quilts. So she's going to talk to us today a little bit about how she came to do that, what it means to her, what her understanding is. If any of you, all of you are probably familiar with how we give a robe, we call it a robe, a blanket to an honored person. We honor them with a star quilt or a Pendleton, and those are called honor robes. And in the old days, back in the day, if you think about it, what would be more useful to you as a gift than, a gold watch or a blanket or a buffalo robe? to keep you warm, to keep your little family warm. So they're very highly prized and valued, and it's an honor to receive one. And sometimes, even today, we give baby star quilts to our babies, and every year of their birthday, we sit them on that star quilt, and we have a meal for them and a blessing for them, and it's a real honor, and it kind of helps to keep them healthy and well. And in the old days, you know, if a baby lived past 4 years old, they were probably going to make it, you know, to adulthood. But it was quick. It was not easy to get your children past 4. So there's always a big celebration for our children from the time they're born until they get into that 4 and 5 year old. I had a celebration for my grandson when he turned 5. We turned him over to the men because he's been our baby, right? But he's a boy, and we had to promise not to call him baby anymore, and that's hard. He's 12 years old now, I still call him baby. He was playing football last night. I said, "Hit him, baby!" He kind of looked like this at me and kind of shook his little head. But, you know, we said, okay, we're going to call you boy because now it's time for you to learn to be a boy and a man. So we took and turned him over to his uncles and his dad and his grandpas and whatnot. So those are, in that process, we set him on his star quilt that he had since he was born. So there's powerful medicine in these quilts, in these robes. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today. And my sister is expert quilt maker and teacher. She teaches for our tribal colleges up north. She teaches how to make these. And it's not as easy as it looks. One time I thought, oh, I'm going to make a star quilt. And I had no idea. Oh. So it has to do with these diamonds, I know. Uh-huh. So one time I cut out a whole bunch of diamonds and tried to sew them together, and it just turned out to be a rag. You know?
Yeah.
So anyway, and my name is Carolyn Fiskus. I don't know if I introduced myself or not. But everybody in this part of the country calls me Big Mama. I taught at UNO for years, taught here at Metro a little bit when they have me, and I'm very honored to be here to be your moderator today. So I'm going to turn it over to my sister Patty and let her, she's got a whole pile of notes here. We might be here a couple days. So
I'm forgetful, that's why I got all these notes.
Yeah. So anyway, take it away, sister.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Carolyn, and thank you, Metro College, for inviting us down. I've given a couple other talks. One was at the South Sioux City Library in South Sioux City, Nebraska. Another was at the Bancroft at the John Nyhart Center. And let's see, what's the next, in here. Then I do have another one coming up. But anyway, I'm no expert, I'll just say that right now. Carolyn she always talks me up. But I always start with, I wanted everybody to know, and I'm sure you do know, that every Native Americans were always deeply spiritual people. That's how they communicated their history, their thoughts, their ideas, and their dreams, and they passed them on from generation to generation. And most of a lot of it had to do with symbols like geometric patterns, or celestial bodies, natural phenomena, or animal designs. But one of the real important things to them was the stars. With the stars, they told their stories. They migrated with the stars. That was their planting seasons. And so as the time went on, they used their stars in many ways. But so when I was first asked to give a star quilt talk, I asked different people more knowledgeable than me about star quilts, but one guy impressed upon me that well, I don't know too much about star quilts, but I know that stars are always very important to the Native people, and so as time went on, and the non-Native communities were moving moving the native communities further and further west. And then at that time too, the buffalo herds were disappearing. So there went a lot of their foods and their clothings and how their homes, they were all used with they used the buffalo skins or whatever skins from all kinds of animals. But it wasn't until the 1900s, late 1800s, that they actually started using fabric. And that's when the missionaries came, and the missionaries' wives taught them how to quilt. And it wasn't with stars right off the bat. And I always like to tell the story about all the different names that they have for star quilts, and I'm sure a lot of you know them. Is Lone Star, Bethlehem Star, Texas Star, and the one that, Star of the East, and then the Morning Star. The Morning Star was real important to the native communities because that's the first thing they see in the morning in the east, and it's actually the planet Venus. And they would, I know there was a prayer, I don't have it written down here, that Black Elk would say every morning and he would ask for a light to lead his community, and that was they consider that the path to and from the spirit world. So yeah, but anyway, all those different names that they had for them star quilts, when the natives took over, started making star quilts, I had to laugh because all they simply called it a star quilt. They didn't give it all kinds of names or anything. They just call it a star quilt. And so the star quilt really started in the northern plains among the Dakota people, Montana, around there. And let's see now. And so anyway, then that's how the Morning Star became the symbol for the star quilt. But that was over 100 years ago before they started making a star quilt. And long before that, they decorated their teepees or their shields, or they had hide paintings, but there was always a star in them. And I have some pictures that I'll share. You can see from this star that it's, they call it a radiating star too. That means that you start in the center and you pick a color that gets a little bit darker each time, and then the center roll, the one that goes clear around, is usually one that's the brightest or the most vivid, and then that makes it look like it's radiating out. Let's see here. Yeah, I've got a lot of notes, but you could probably start asking me questions.
Okay, well, I was just going to add to your knowledge. Well, I don't know if I've added to it or not, but I was told by a Lakota person a long time ago, she's 30, 40 years ago, that these quilts started because the government was giving army blankets that had pox in them. And the tribes knew that, so the women, rather than take those blankets, they would use trade cloth and start making their own beautiful blankets. And because they didn't trust that the blankets they were getting from the government were not full of disease, pox.
Yeah.
So smallpox. So that's what I heard. That's why this. So the star quilt became a symbol of resilience and survival. You know, that we're not going to take that from you because we know you're trying to kill us. So that's when I heard that. The star quilt to me became very, very precious. You know, because that's a symbol of resistance and resilience.
Survival.
Yeah, survival, and made out of trade cloth, and they couldn't trust the army giving them the healthy blankets. Also, she was talking about the Morning Star. In the Winnebago storytelling tradition, that Morning Star is one of our superheroes. He's called Heshuchka, or Redhorn. And so when he comes up in the morning, you know, he's a very powerful super hero. And he, there's a big long history and story that goes along with Redhorn, and it's about the migration too. I won't tell you today, that's for the next the next time that Barb hires me to do storytelling tradition. But Redhorn was this big muscly guy. He liked to wrestle. He was a good athlete and everything, and the women all loved him. But he was kind of weird because he had gauges in his ears that were human heads. And so those heads would look at his opponents and stick their tongue out and wink and turn around and stuff, but they were big old gauges. There's a couple of artifacts that have been found that are, one is called Big Boy. You can look that up. And that's a Ho-Chunk artifact that was found in Wisconsin, and it's a pipe bowl of Redhorn. And he's got those gauges in his ears. And how he got those human heads in his earrings, he defeated Mississippian culture in a ball game. That ball game they used to play with the hoops on the side of the wall on the plaza. His team defeated the Mississippian team because they'd been fighting a war forever and ever. And so when it was over, the Ho-Chunk won the ball game, of course, because we're good ball players, I guess. And that Mississippian shaman or priest, he said, okay, we declare the peace then, because men, they don't want to give up. Redhorn and this priest said, let's quit this war. So that priest said, you give up. Redhorn said, no, you give up. No, you give up. So let's play a ball game. So they played the ball game. And when they were done and Winnebago, the Ho-Chunks had won, they cut the heads of them Mississippian ball players. And he hung them on a rope and hung them around Redhorn's neck. And that's how he got them earrings. It's from that. So, And when he used to wrestle the giants and stuff, when they moved to Wisconsin, then those earrings, those heads would make funny faces at the giants, and they would like get distracted, and then old Redhorn would take them down, So it was it's a long story that goes with that, but I always liked that no, you give up, no, you. So anyway, Ho-Chunks won the ball game, and he got earrings made of human heads.
Yeah, I wanted to add that about the blankets that they gave them when, well, you know how they're scratchy and they weren't very comfortable, and then they started using those blankets in between the trade cloth like a batting.
Okay. Yeah.
And so the next, well, they'd when it got too warm for a blanket, well, then they would take off the top part and they would wash it and save it for the fall, but then they would use the top part as a summer blanket because it was cooler. Yeah, it was cooler then. And then Carolyn talked about, well, the star quilts used all through a person's life when they're born. Yeah, and then there's a coming of age ceremony. I don't know too much about that. Carolyn could add about that. And then of course they have graduations. They hand out quilts and ball games, like different sports, football, basketball, whatever sport the community usually gets together and gets that to honor them. And then that's what the star quilt is always given as honor and respect. And when you receive them, it's in honor also. So, but anyway, the graduations, and they give them to veterans when they leave and when they come home, and weddings, retirements, and then also at funerals, people donate the quilt, and they're usually all donated by families and. So anyway, and it's always showing respect and honor and admiration. And then I like to add that there's both men and women are quilters. When this was about 12 years ago that I started quilting. One of my sisters talked me into taking a star quilt class, and so anyway, I went along with her, and then we just kind of took off, and then pretty soon we had all these quilts, and we said, what are we going to do with these quilts? And but anyway, then we came up with the idea to start a guild, and so we're still a guild today. We started with about 4 members, and now we have over 50 members. And sometimes, during the pandemic, we started meeting on Zoom. So if some people there came from, there's one in Maine, one in Washington, one in Colorado, and New Mexico, and they just meet, and we just sit and we sew. We each have projects, and a lot of times we try to do something each year as a group. We make a quilt. It's not always a star quilt, but that's our main focus. And and yearly we have a quilt show, and we have that at the Nebraska Indian Community College yearly. Our next one will be the first weekend in November. And so we've done a lot of things as a group. I don't know. I'll mention Jim Hallam. He does a lot of rides. He belongs to this Sacred Horse Society, it's called, and they do rides in honor of different things. And he had asked us one time to make him a quilt, because they were going to go from, remember when they took a lot of the Indians up to, was it Crow Creek? And yeah, and then anyway, after the War of 1862, with the Sioux, while a lot of women were left there, and they slowly snuck away, and they came down the river, or they walked down, but then they slowly came down, and he says that they settled in Flandreau, Santee, Sioux City, but a lot of them didn't make it. And there was children that were also so they were buried along the way, and nobody knows where they're buried. But he wanted a quilt for that. So, and then that's what I like about our guild. If somebody comes up with an idea, and then somebody else will throw something in there, and then then we have a bunch of, we come up with a quilt. But this one was a picture, and I'm sure I'm sure you've seen somewhere it's just the ladies, and they usually have a day dress on, and it shows the back of them with a braid. And so we all the members picked so many squares, and they made some ladies, and then I was the one came up with an idea. Well, why don't we leave some empty, because we don't know what happened to those people. And I said, and I'll do those squares. But no, we had this lady. Her name was, she's a Reverend Marilyn. She did outlines. She did outlines of the ladies, and a couple of them had a little girl or a little boy. And we gave that to Jim, and he took it on his ride, and I always thought that it was going to be for him and his little group. But halfway along the way, he met up with the governor of South Dakota, Christy Nome, and she went out and met them by Chamberlain, and she rode into the Capitol with them. And so our quilt is, and then anyway, he ended up giving her that quilt. I always laugh about that. But anyway, so it hangs at the state capitol. And but yeah, our guild has done a lot of different things, and so we donate that. Now let's see what else I can add here. You got any more questions, Carolyn, or you want to add?
In addition to the morning star in the Ho-Chunk tradition, we have that evening star too. He's called Blue Horn. That one was Red Horn in the east. That's Venus. And Blue Horn is the same planet, right? It's still Venus.
Oh,
but they call him Blue Horn. And he's the warrior star, the evening star. So these quilts are real powerful medicine. I've heard stories of people going out on their vision quests in the dead of winter, and all they take is one of these, and they're fine. They're protected, Yeah. So this one guy told me he just wrapped himself up, and the coyotes or the wolves came and laid around him and kept him warm. Yeah. So they're pretty powerful medicine. I always value and honor these quilts. And that's why they're called honor quilts. And then we also have the Pendleton, which I know UNO gives the Pendleton. It's just as powerful, the Pendleton blanket. I don't know the history of that. No. I do know that tribes would wear them in certain ways. There's a certain way to wear it. It's called the language of the robe. so that when somebody was coming to a council meeting or a meeting with the treaty, you knew what their intentions were, how they had their robe on. So it's a
Okay.
powerful piece of our culture.
I teach, well, I've been teaching for probably about 5-6 years, and everybody is always scared at the beginning, but the way I do it is with strips. I can do it individual diamonds also, but I do it with strips. You sew, like this one would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're called panels. You would sew one strip of the white, one strip of the gray, light gray, dark gray, the feathers, and the black. And then you just sew it up and down, and you fold it off to the side. Then you go and make another panel, just like, so you end up with 5 panels. Then you just stack them on top of iron them, stack them on top of each other. And then the way you cut them is at a 45-degree angle, and that's what makes your diamonds. And then when you cut them, those panels that are all laid out like this, and they come out with the diamond strips, and then you sew this diamond strip to this one, this one, this one, and that's where you get the big diamond. Then you cut enough so you have enough for 8 big diamonds, and then the outside right here, these are called the inserts, which go around the star. Yeah, and then I can see this one was put together. There's 4 triangles in. You can see the triangles, and in the corners are 4 squares. Yeah, so I didn't come up with it. I saw this idea where you cut a square, but then you cut it down
Diagonally.
Yeah, so then that's a diamond. But then if you sewed it this way, they're called Y seams right in the center where they meet, and that's hard, a little bit hard. Yeah, because you have to set it in there. You have to leave a little bit of space in there, 1/4 of an inch. Then you put your corner in, and then you sew it up, and then you got to turn it and then sew it the other way. But yeah, but if you do it with you cut them into big triangles, then you just simply sew it to the side, then you sew it to this side, and then you do the mirror image, and then you just fold them together, and then you have a big square, and then you sew your 4 squares together. That's easier than having to do the Y seams. Anybody that quilts would know what a Y seam is, and that's called that because see how it comes to the corner, and then there's where the big diamond is, that's a Y. And then right here is a Y. And that's why they call it a Y seam. But yeah, a lot of my students, a lot of them say when they start they're scared and they think it looks real hard, but it's not. It's just mostly straight line sewing, except for if you're going to do the Y seams. But yeah, it's really not that hard.
What's the preferred fabric you should use?
Oh, cotton.
Always 100% cotton?
Mm-hmm.
'Cause
You
I
can
know
use other kind. Oh yeah, and then some people
use taffeta or slick.
Yeah. What do you call that? Satin. Yeah, but I don't because
it's hard.
it's a lot of work and it ravels. You can get a special rotary cutter that's like a serrated edge, and but my sister Dee Dee, she does satin ones, but I don't. She always tells me, "Oh, Patty, you're missing out on money." No, go ahead. You can have the money. I'll just stick with cotton. Yeah. Well, a lot of people want the 4 direction colors. That's the black, red, yellow, white, and those signify the 4 directions. And then they just put them the way they want. But like I said, they want you to start with a lighter color, work out, and have that brighter one in the middle, so it rotates. It looks like it's radiating.
A starburst.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's real.
And then you could use
Pretty.
any more. You can use any colors that you want. It's just like every one of I have 8 students, and they all all have different ideas. Every one of them, each year, they all have a different, you know.
She makes specialized ones too, which are really neat. That like, if you wanted Duke colors or
Oh yeah, college
you know
colors.
Nebraska
or,
colors
yeah.
or a baseball or a basketball or whatever, you know.
And I'm sure you've seen they make star quilts with eagles on them. I've seen butterflies. I made one with a buffalo head. It was for a graduation. Let's see. Oh, and I made a baby eagle. It was just a small one. And
cute.
then yeah, and then we have a quilter at our guild, and we haven't got to use it very much. But the quilting is either done by machine, or you can. They call it motion quilting. You can use your own machine and push your quilt underneath your needle, or otherwise hand quilting. I like hand quilting, but I don't always have time. There's a lady in our group, her name's Valma Alanese. She's sewn hundreds of quilts and all kinds of quilts. And she hand quilts every one of them.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. She made wedding quilts for every time there's a wedding in her family, or the double wedding ring, they call it.
Oh,
yeah, she does that. But yeah, she always does, she's been in a magazine before. I think it was Good Housekeeping. She did I think it was a buffalo, a big
Wow,
the
yeah.
whole buffalo. Well, when I talked about when my sister, her name was Denise Carnes, she wanted me to take a class with her, and we took the class with Maria Scott. She's from Winnebago, and yeah, then she always said too that she really liked it when she gave a class, and if somebody just kept on quilting, you know, then like a lot of the times they make one quilt, and you know, then they don't finish, and yeah. But I'm trying to think. You know, I just really liked every one of my students. I'm trying to think of some good stories. Well, you know what? This time, a husband and a wife, a couple came to the class the first day. Let's see. Monday would have been our third class, but they came, and but I had them go around and introduce themselves, and when it got to them, he said that him and his wife wanted to do something different. They've been and together, and here they saw that there was going to be this quilting class, and then they were really happy because the first class was their anniversary, so they came to our class on their anniversary. Aww. Yeah, and then anyway, later in the class, when I have them color their patterns of what we've got fabric there, they can pick out fabric there, or if they have an idea, you know, how to color it. We have colored pencils, this and that. But anyway, I walked around and kind of looked to see what people were doing in here. Here, his coloring, he was going to make a red, white, and blue one as a gift for a veteran in his family. And but his coloring was all just right in the lines, and he colored every diamond, you know, and then I said, oh, check this guy out, he's staying inside the lines. And everybody, all the girls had liked it for him, and then his wife said, oh, you watch, she said, he's very competitive, and he'll probably be the best one in the class. But then, you know, I was really glad to see him, and I'm hoping that when other people know that he took the class, and that there'll be more men that take the class, because there are a lot of men quilters out there and a lot of good quilters. So
How many yards do you need of each color?
well, I always tell them a yard for each color, and then see, this one has a border, and if you want one of these colors, then you get more. It would say you'd get 2 yards. Or like, see that right there,
Yeah.
they get 2 yards. And then the inserts, that takes about 3 or 4 yards, depending on how you make it. Yeah. But yeah, it takes, well, I'd say 10 yards altogether. And you know, not always that. Like, see right here, well, she used white here. I was going to say, no, maybe a guy made this, I don't know. But she would have got, but if this was a different color, she would have only needed two of the 3-inch strips. So see, that would have only been 6 inches. But in this quilt, these look like they're 3 inches. So yeah, that's how I tell the girls how to get their, or the students how to get their fabric is like count how many, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8
Panels.
yeah, 8 of these the feather, so that's times 3 is 24 inches. But then see, then they added this, they'd have to add this on also. So yeah, it's used to get the whole thing, yeah, it's probably 9, 10 yards. And I teach at NICC in South Sioux City, Nebraska at the Indian Community College there. And it's a 15-week course during each semester. And in the summer, I think it's only an 8-week course, but then that one, I just do a baby quilt. And then this summer, I just did one a week long, and it was 3 hours each day for 4 days. But we just made well, I call it a wall hanging, where it's basically the same thing, but like I said, just the diamond, it was big. The diamond is just one big diamond, and they could have as many colors as they wanted, or like every other one be a different color, or like black, red, yellow, white, and then your outside be a different one. And that one only ends up being about 50 by 50. But you could use it, one girl used it as a baby quilt. She had baby colors, and then you could use it as a wall hanging or a lap quilt, or yeah. And then that one, that one's simple. Yeah, and if they live in the Sioux City area, well, yeah, they can just contact the college. Oh yeah, the guild too. We meet every Wednesday. Most guilds meet every monthly, but our guild, we got this one lady, Velma, that likes to meet every Wednesday. So there I go. And but yeah, like I said, we started out with just 4 people. Now we have over 50. They're not always all active. Sometimes they kind of come and go, depending on what's going on with them. We meet weekly. We start at 5:30. We always have potluck because that draws people in too. And and then well, sometimes we have a group project, do group things, and then lately, and I think it's because of the summer, a lot of people were busy, so we didn't get to meet every Wednesday, but when we did, everybody kind of brought their own individual projects that they were working on. And then some bead when they're there. Let's see what else. Beading and ribbon skirts. One of our members brought her 3 granddaughters. They're like middle school age, and they're just nice little girls. They just come and they're quiet, and they just sew, and their grandma just has to tell them what to do, and they'll do it. Yeah. But yeah, our guild, we welcome anybody, everybody. Yeah, every Wednesday, NICC, and everyone's welcome. I'm trying to get Carolyn to come up there.
That's what I need, is one more thing to do.
Yeah. We're thinking of, because we don't have time to do a quilt for our quilt show, we're thinking about making pot holders, and we're going to try to use our scraps, pot holders and dish towels to match. So that's and then because we only have a month to get ready for our quilt show. But we have our quilts. Everybody brings quilts that they've had or that they want to show, and then we have other little things going on. One time we had a little project there where, at the quilt show, where they could see the different stages of making a star quilt, and then we usually have a raffle, and we're thinking about doing individual baskets of different quilting things.
Supplies and stuff.
Yeah, so they can like bid on them, silent auction, and yeah, we always try to come up with different things and get people to come. Yeah, and we've been invited to a lot of different places. Also, I forgot to add that Nebraska used to have a quilt. They called it Quiltway on the Byway. It ran clear across. It started in South Sioux City, and then it went clear out to like Valentine, Nebraska. But in each little town, they would have a little quilt show, and just different drawings and different things, and you know, it was good to go see all the different quilts and the quilts that the ladies did. Yeah, we were asked to do that, and oh shoot,
You came to
drawing
the
a
nursing
blank.
home in Whiting, remember?
Oh yeah, we were invited to her
There's
auxiliary.
The
Yeah.
auxiliary in Whiting. We have a nursing home, 80-bed nursing home there, and we got the idea to invite Patty's Guild down to do a quilt show. Oh my goodness, that was so successful. And the elderly people just loved it. And they got to talk about their quilts they had at home. And didn't some people bring them? Like, what'd you call that? They call it a case or a trunk?
Oh yeah, trunk showing. Yeah, that's everybody. A lot of people bring quilts, and they just lay it on a table, and then each person, well, they'll pull up their quilt and they'll talk about it. And, you know, and people ooh and ah over it, and then you know, there's all kinds of different
and those
quilts.
elderly ladies in the nursing home, and man, you know, when I was young, you know, my grandma made this. It was really, really nice.
Yeah, they really liked it. They hated to. We were there 2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they said, oh, we hate to see you go.
Yeah.
And then they hung quilts, and not only us, but other people brought quilts too.
In town.
Yeah, they hung them all up and down the hallways. And so they just
pretty.
really liked that. Yeah, they really enjoyed it. And then the pandemic started, so they didn't have
everything went.
Yeah.
And Patty fell down. That didn't help.
Oh yeah. We laughed, and I was packing up, and
we just threw quilts over her and walked off.
Yeah. But yeah, I just that top bone got a little crack in it on my arm, but I have to have a cast. You might know, but. Yeah, that was my own fault.
That was too bad. It was real snowy and slick out too.
No, it wasn't. It was just me. I put a bag down, loaded up my van, shut the door, stepped back, and went down. But that's just me. I'm always falling. We always talk about when you go to a quilting store or a fabric store, you meet somebody that quilts. You can talk forever. I mean, and you know, you just become instant friends.
That's why we were late. She met somebody at the gas station. They were
we went to go
yammering
potty,
away.
yeah. And I just saw Carolyn went in, and I was waiting out there, and this other lady was waiting. And I just asked her where she'd come from. She went to a football game, and then we talked about where we're from, and I said, you're a long ways from home, she said, and I said, oh, not really. And then I told her that I was coming down here to give a talk on star quilts, and she said, oh, you a quilter? And I said, yes. And I said, are you? Yes. And she got out her phone and start showing me a quilt. And
Quilt pictures.
Yeah. And then, I went to get my nails done, and I was sitting by this lady. She was real friendly, but anyway, she said, oh, let me see, what do you do to your nails? I said, I just keep mine short. You know, I said, because I sew. Oh, do you sew? Do you quilt? And so then now we became instant friends. And she was supposed to come down and have lunch. And
oh, nice.
Yeah. So, yeah, you know, it's not hard. I encourage people. You know, it's just a time to get together in our guild, in my classes. I always hate to say this, but I say no children, because we do have the machines and sharp rotary cutters, scissors, needles, pins. You know, they could get hurt, and those ladies don't have time to run after their kids. And besides disturbing them, I always tell them, this is your time. This is your time to come and sew, and like in the guild also. If they're 12 or older and they come with a parent, then we welcome them, because they can sew by then. Yeah, we've had a couple girls in the past. They came with their grandmas, and one's making a quilt with a whole lot of diamonds in it.
Wow.
Yeah, she's doing real good. This other girl, she really took off. She did quilting. She made ribbon skirts, and yeah. And now we have the 3 younger ladies that have been coming. They're working on the ribbon skirts. And
The,
then,
the only thing about sewing, and I love to sew, but you have to have time. The other thing is it's two hobbies, sewing and then it's collecting all the material and
yeah.
stuff, you know,
It's
shopping
buying.
for material,
Yeah.
and that's a different hobby, getting
Oh.
all the supplies. And,
Uh-huh. And then they asked if we took donations, and yes, we do. One of the guild members, her daughters live in Denver, and those church ladies out there, they've got a bunch of fabric, and they every once in a while they'll pack them all up, and they even send us like gift cards to Hobby Lobby, or
Oh, wow.
yeah, or
Joann's or
yeah,
something,
they just
yeah.
they pack up all kinds of things and send them to us. And but Velma made me laugh one time. She said that out there they think we're just poor Indians.
Yeah.
And I said, that's okay.
Yeah,
Keep on
keep
sending yeah.
What
Yeah.
about the thread? Does it take a lot of thread to do these things?
Yeah, and you know what? And that's another thing. We got donated like 2 big boxes of thread. One of the schools in Sioux City, they no longer have a
Home ec or
or a sewing class, and they had these two big boxes of the big spools.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, and a niece, she said because they were just going to throw them away.
Oh, wow.
She said that, oh no, don't throw them away. I got somebody that could use them. So, yeah. So yeah, we take donations. That sure helps.
Does anybody want to win this star quilt? This is about a $350 star quilt. Is it a queen size, I think?
It's probably a full.
It's a full, but you know, they cost a lot, but you can win this if you complete the online evaluation for this little program. And of course, we were excellent and had great cultural information. Where else are you going to find that? You know, you're not going to find that at Warren Buffett's meeting or anything, you know. You're not going to find it down at Spaghetti Works.
She's hungry.
I am.
Yeah.
So please complete that. Patty Provo, Carolyn Fiscus, or they call me Big Mama if any of you are my students, or
Metropolitan College, Community College.
MCC.
Yes, and thank you, lady. Thank you.
Thank you for asking us. What's most fun is we get to visit because we don't get to see each other very much. We talk on the phone and stuff, but.
All right, what a lovely presentation. Want to thank Patty Provost and Carolyn Fiscus for not only driving all the way from home down to Omaha to do that recording, but they are here with us today. You can see Patty probably on your screen. Carolyn was having some connection issues with Wi-Fi. One of the realities of living in rural America so far. But we have her on the phone. I understand she's connected through Patty, so Carolyn can still hear and answer questions. And I want to give the greatest congratulations to our audience because we have many questions that come in. Sometimes it's hard to get questions, but there's plenty. So I'm going to just start with them. Patty, do you use a long arm quilting machine to quilt? Oh, Patty, we got to get you off onto your mic, please.
There you go. Now I got to start over. Well, I do a little bit of it. Personally, I send mine off to another quilter, but our guild does have one. One of our members was a Vista worker, and she got us a grant for let's say a mid-size quilter, and she got that for us just before the pandemic. So we really haven't got to get into it, but we do have one at the guild. And one of my sisters has the big old quilter and is hooked up to a computer and everything, but she lives in Colorado Springs, so but she does really good quilts also.
That's really an interesting operation to see if anybody in the audience can find somebody who has one of has a real serious business of star
Right.
quilting, probably going to find that. And I had the nice opportunity to visit somebody years ago who's since passed on, but it was
Oh,
just such a nice experience.
uh-huh.
Patty, you told us some about your classes, but if somebody wanted to take a class at NICC with you, should they just call the institution to find out about the dates and how to register, or?
Yes, yes. Well, they run with the school year. Like this one started in August and will run to December. And then in January, there'll be a summer one. And then they go for 15 weeks. And it's usually in the evenings. But yeah, just to call the college. It's NICC or Nebraska Indian Community College in South Sioux City, Nebraska. I don't
I
have
was
that phone.
thinking that for people here in Omaha, even maybe your summer one, if they could take off a week, if they really
Right.
wanted to learn, they could check that out.
Right. Uh-huh.
Okay,
And we used to only meet 2 hours, but you know what, the students, 2 hours a week, but the students, they said, we just barely get sewing and then it's time to quit. And so I asked them if we could, have a 3-hour class and that really helps them. They get more done and it's more time for them to sew and they enjoy the 3 hours. During the summer, like I said, it's less, only 8 weeks, but it's still 3 hours a day. That's when I do a smaller quilt, but it's the same concept. If you can do a smaller one, like a baby quilt, you can do a large one.
all right. So, and if we apologize if any of these questions are repeated.
That's all right.
Do you have any particular quilted pattern that you use with star quilts, such as meandering or Baptist fan or stitch in the ditch?
Oh, okay. Like I said, I send mine off. So I let her pick. But when we hand quilt, we've done the stitching in the ditch one. Plus I always call it like a seashell. It's just one line and then you go back and forth and you go to the X and then it just kind of hooks up all the way up. But when people that have the long arm quilt, they've got all kinds of designs. My sister, she has a computer that she can get the designs from a company or even make her own. She has some I like to call them Indian design, but they're more of what you'd think of Navajo designs, like geometric designs, or she's done some with what do you call it now, dragonflies. Also what do you call those little, oh god darn it, I'm not gonna, they play a little flute and they're in the Southwest.
Cucapelli.
Yeah, did you hear Carolyn? Cucapelli?
The flute player, yeah.
Oh, can you hear her?
Yes.
Okay, I'll try to turn it up. Okay, yeah. And oh yeah, see, there's all kind of designs that you can do, really. And there's, like meander, like she had said, you just kind of go around, make your own designs. Some of them, you can just move that machine up and around in all kinds of ways. And that's what meander is called. And you can write, like say you want to write your name, you can do all kinds of things with that machine.
Excellent. I want to shout out to both of you. You and Carolyn make a great team on this presentation.
Oh.
You complement each other so well. So
Good.
we still have many questions. We have an audience member who would like to know more about how does this robe get power? What gives the robe the power? Is it blessed? Or Carolyn talked about the medicine in the star quilt. Maybe Carolyn, you want to speak to that?
Okay. What I was told is that when you make these things, that it's whoever's doing the construction of the quilt or the beadwork or whatever it is, we put prayers into it. Every stitch, every cut, every whatever is a prayer. So that's what gives the robe the power, is whoever makes it and their attitude and their prayers while they're putting it together. That's what makes it powerful, is the maker
Yeah, I
and
always,
the intentions, you know.
yeah,
But even when I cook for my ceremonies, I always have a really good attitude, and I usually like take a shower and be real clean, and I have a real good attitude and love for the people that I'm cooking for. So that's how we put the medicine into the instrument or the food. It's your intentions, you know. That's what makes it. If you're making a quilt for somebody to honor them, that the whole time you're doing that, you're thinking about them and what they're getting honored for, and making prayers and putting love into it. I think that's what makes it powerful.
yeah.
That's what I think.
Mhm.
Anyway, that's what I've been told.
Yeah. And it, you know, it's in the honoring that you're giving it, and you're being respectful. And
Yeah.
yeah. And I always tell people that I pray a lot when I'm quilting, because I like to cuss too. So I don't want to be sending off any bad vibes. So I really,
Yeah.
I pray a lot while I'm quilting.
And when you're together with the guild, do people discuss that, or do you ever sense that there's a lot of love and good intentions going into products?
Oh yeah. 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 We, you know, when, like I said, when they come to the guild, it's it's like their time. And one of the new students said that. She said, "Oh, I just enjoy this time. I come and well, you know what? She's an East Indian lady, and she just always wanted to come to the class, probably for about the last 4 or 5 years. But she finally got to come, and it's just a group of people. We talk about our families and different projects that we're going to do. We try to do, like I told you before, we try to do something together. Somebody will throw an idea out there, then somebody will add to it, and then keep on adding to it. And pretty soon we have this project. And, you know, that's what I really like about our guild is, you know, we all work together, and yeah, it's a good time.
Thank you so
And we
much.
talk about all kinds of things. Like we started a book club also. We started talking about, maybe we discuss everything. We start talking about how they were banning different books, and then we start talking about that. I wanted to start a book club long ago about, it would be books about by native authors and about native people. One time I went to the library and asked them, how do I get started on a book club? And I told them what I wanted to do, but they said that I couldn't do that. And then I kind of, only because it wasn't going to be inclusive. But anyway, I think times have changed since then, and I'm at a Native American, Nebraska Indian Community College, so it went over better. And we started our book club. Well, Carolyn's in there. She's one of the leaders, of course. So in October, that'll be our third book, and 28 people signed up, and you know, not all of them are attending, but we get about 12, 13 people of book club, and we've really had some really good discussions.
Excellent.
Do you want to add, Carolyn?
Yeah.
Did you want to?
That book club is really going well. And I think it's good that we can share that. It's different than just getting together in a gap session, you know, because it's got a intellectual kind of bent to it, you know. And everybody, of course, we all interpret things differently, but be able to come together, and there's no wrong or right. It's just what you think. So it's real good. We have people from all over the country that are zooming into it and talking about it. And the last couple books have been about women perspectives, and that's been real powerful for some of our book club members, you know. So
All right, well, let's continue on. Please, okay, how can a person interpret the meaning of a particular quilt? And is there ever any discussion about getting to the meaning of it?
how can they do what?
Interpret the meaning of a quilt, a particular quilt.
You mean the design? Do they mean the design or just the
Or do you,
intentions?
I think it might be both, like, I mean, because the intentions would be related to the design, right?
Yeah, I think that just depends on the individual who's receiving the quilt. And what did they get it? You know, what was the quilt? What was the honor that was bestowed on them?
and then like we said, one wanted a graduation quilt and she wanted a buffalo on it. So that was her idea, but that was for her son. And so I think, you know, I'm not real sure why she picked the buffalo. You know, that was, she might have had an intention
Yeah,
or
intention.
yeah, but
It's clan.
oh, maybe, right. That could be it too. Like some, I know Velma is with the Wolf Clan. And
Yeah. Right.
you know, in different, and then let's see, Buffalo, Buffalo, I'm not sure. Is there Buffalo clans? You know, yeah. And let's see, what else? Colors could have an intention, right? Yeah.
Can you, I know you talked about the four directional colors. Are there any other colors that symbolize something? This has been asked by one of our audience members.
Well, every tribe, every clan kind of has their own palette, you know. So a person would have to talk to their elders and their grandparents to see what they know about that. Because I know I have a really good friend who's a Chippewa from northern Minnesota. And they have a medicine wheel like we do down here in the Northern Plains, but their colors are green, red, yellow, and white, and blue, I think. So there's like 5 colors. So it just depends on your clan and your tribe, you know, and I think your own dreams or intentions, you know, that has a lot to do with it. There's nothing set in stone, you know, that says, oh, it has to be this color for that meaning or anything like that.
Sometimes it might just be colors that you like.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
Or even a piece of fabric, like if you see this piece of fabric that you really like and it's got colors in there, you just pick it, you know, just pick colors out of that fabric.
Right. I guess it's where there can be traditional meaning, intentions are as diverse as for any artist, right?
Right.
And
right.
sometimes we look at paintings or something and we have to think, what did they mean? But only the artist can tell us.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Thank you, Patty and Carolyn, for your presentation. This is from one of our audience members.
You're welcome. Thanks for helping me figure out the technology. I'm so bad at that.
Well, this question goes on, though. Let's not finish yet. She says, for Patty, do you have a favorite quilt you made? And what is the most unique quilt you have made?
Oh, my favorite? You know what? It might have been the second quilt that I've done. My son got the fabric from me. And I suppose you can see my room. It's purple. But he got me fabric that it was really good fabric too. That it had purple in it, purples and greens, and let's see what else. But yeah, it was the second quilt I made, and I said, well, I'm not going to put that on my bed till I clean my room. And that's been years. No, but I show it at every quilt show. And then I made a wall hanging to match. And well, I was going to put it up today, but I didn't. That it's kind of like, I call it like a headboard. It matches my quilt. So yeah, but that's my the favorite one. And then the one, like it's the buffalo head, I think that somebody asked me to make that I really liked. And it was just the head. I really didn't like the pattern that she gave me because it looked like, you know, how the skulls that are like skinny, but I got it, I made it so it was looked like a buffalo, and the shape of a buffalo's head. And then the fabric I found even looked like the part like down here where they kind of have that, like a little beard. I even found some fabric that it was brown, but it still looked like it was a beard. And the other parts of the face were a different brown. And yeah, it was really fun because in that one you have to do individual diamonds, and then some of the diamonds are even cut in half. So, you know, it kind of, I had to figure out how to do that. But yeah, I think that one's the most unique one that I've done.
All right. Well, that really has helped us to be in your world. The excitement that you have when you talk about it, Patty, just is beautiful. Finally, we have an International Quilt Museum in Lincoln, and one of
Right.
our audience members wants to know if it has any samples of native quilts. If it does not, this is my edition. What can we do to encourage the addition? Does anybody know if there's any native quilts there?
Oh, I think there is. Who is it? Who is the person?
This is Martha who's asking. Are you still there, Martha Nieves? She's got a green square up here.
Okay. Hello. Hello. You know, our guild has been talking about coming down on a trip, but I told them it's not going to be a one-day thing. We're going to have to be there more than 2 days. I talked about the lady that was a Vista worker. Her sister is a volunteer there, and I can't remember her name. Her maiden name is Dudley. And but anyway, one of our members did donate a quilt to you. Oh God. It was just the top, and it was an orange peel, and it was like in disrepair, but you people took it in and we're gonna take care of it. And I forget what else they said, but we haven't got to follow up on that. Okay, she's
All right.
muted, so
Yeah.
yeah.
So we'll let you know that there should be one down there. We don't know if it's on display because
I know there's a bunch of them, and you know what? I miss the darn thing every time they do have displays every once in a while with the star quilts. I know they do. And let's see, what else was I going to say about that? Yeah.
While you think, I'm putting out the evaluation because I was looking on one page and there's a lot of stuff still going in, but everybody will get that evaluation in just a moment here. Here we go. We have questions about when does the guild meet? When does your book club meet? Is there any possibility that any of that is virtual so people from everywhere can see it? Someone wanted to know if they heard correctly that Star Quilts may have started with the Dakota. Is that correct?
Yes, in our area mostly, like the Dakota people. But now they're all over the United States. But yes, they probably started in our area here and in Montana. When they originally started, they were, like I told you, they were paintings on, I think one of the pictures right at the beginning shows they were circles, but there were diamonds and points, and it was everything was always a circle to Native Americans. Carolyn can explain that better, but that's how it started. You know, like a star to them, that was like a star, and they were on buffalo robes. And I just got a book. Maybe you even saw me leafing through it when we. I don't know if I mentioned that our guild was asked. One of the things we were asked to do is to display our quilts at the South Sioux City Library. They have a hallway with 2 glass display cases. And anyway, we filled one up. I wish I could show that picture on here. But this is the second year with two different sets of quilts. But one of the books was called Feathered Sun, that one of our members had. And that it really shows, I don't know if I could show it here, if you guys could see it. See this book? See, that's originally how stars were displayed on their different, see how this one's at I think the Smithsonian, this one. But see, that's just some of their, but that's how they started. And when they first started quilting, and I think you saw that picture at the beginning of the ladies all had different quilts. They started with all kinds of different ones, but when they got to start making the star quilt, like they had all different kinds of names from, but the natives just simply called them the star quilt. And so from there that they made it into their own, and it was the star quilt. Okay, and then another question was when we meet. Our guild meets every Wednesday, and that's at the Nebraska Indian Community College in South Sioux. Like I said, during the pandemic, we met through Zoom. I don't give classes on Zoom or online. You could look up star quilt tutorials on YouTube, and there's a million of them out there. And that I always tell my class too that the way I teach is how I learned, but there's a lot of parts that I learned from different people online. And now it's the way I make them is that is how I teach it, but it wasn't the way that it was originally taught. And I always tell them that when they keep on making their quilts, they're going to find more ways, different ways that they like, and it becomes their own process. And let's see now. And then the book club, we meet monthly, and that's the third Thursday of every month. We do a lot of Zoom on that one. So let's see. What's the best way to connect?
You know what,
with,
Patty? If
what?
you can email me that information,
Okay.
I can send it out to all the people who are registered.
Okay.
For both the book series and the guild.
Okay.
And then maybe anything you want to send us about registering for your class at NIC.
Okay.
We'll
Okay,
get that
good.
all out to everybody. It won't come in a minute or so, but Patty's good about responding pretty quickly.
Okay. Yes, I'll do that. That's better than me on. Anyway.
You've done so well. This has been really beautiful. Both Patty and Carolyn, share with us any last thoughts you have for the audience.
Karen, you want to share? Carolyn, you want to share first?
Yeah, I think people should just jump in. If they want to do it, they should jump in and, find out about stuff. So don't be shy. I know a lot of people, I'm not native enough. I'm not this, I'm not that. It doesn't matter. It's, if you're interested in it, it's a good thing. And it's a good way to, get in touch with your inner artist and spiritual stuff and everything else. So, be sure you get signed up if you want to. It's a good thing.
Yeah, and like I said, there's a even in your own communities, there's probably people that give classes there. Or even quilt shops. It might be They might be a little expensive, but I bet there's all kinds of guilds in your area, or even start your own. You know, that's what we did. You know, just start your own with a few people. Like we only had 4. We started with 4, and yeah, that's a good way. And then you learn together that way.
And
But
what have
you're
your
always
members
welcome.
grown to, Patty? You
What?
started with 4. Where are you
Mhm.
at now with the guild? How many?
Well, we have like over 50 members. They're not always real active, like I said, but it's probably about around 12 to 15 that'll come. And sometimes maybe like 4 or 5 will show up, but you know, they know we're always there. So yeah. And we're lucky, NICC gave us that spot to meet. And they really treat us good. We have a great big, I mean, a large room to meet in. Um, they've gotten us, we have 12 sewing machines there. They've, because they had us first come, that's when they asked me to teach a class, and they got all the tools that we needed. And then they gave us we had a little storage rack. Pretty soon got too big for that. So then they gave us this little tiny room, got too big for that. And well, let's see, about a month ago, we got to have a bigger room, and now everything fits in there. All our fabric, our shelves, our sewing machine, the quilter that we have now, it all fits in there. And I even got to save one little shelf space for a book club. Yeah.
I don't know, Patty, if you noticed, but Gloria Lynn Thomas is watching.
Oh,
She
yes.
must be in your guild. She said the participation is free. Bring your material and creativity. NICC is so great for welcoming us and having us.
Uh-huh.
So that's.
Thank you,
there's
Gloria.
that.
Yeah, she's a good
Oh.
member. She's always helping me.
Okay. Well,
Mhm.
we have taken enough time from these fine women who drove all the way to Omaha to record. That was, let's see, almost 2 weeks, a week and a half ago. And now they agreed to join, and Carolyn is on that phone trying to make sure she hears everything. So thank you, thank you, thank you. The question and
You're
answer,
welcome.
in fact.
Hey, I have a question, Barb, about that thing that I'm moderating. You want me to come down there, or is that going to be on the phone again?
We had planned for you to come down, Teresa, or Carolyn, sorry, I see Teresa's face.
The 21st.
I will call you back after we finish. How about that?
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you so much.
Okay, people are really shooting out their appreciation in the chat. We really, really thank you for
Well,
all
thank
of
you.
that. And yes, Carolyn will be back with us on Wednesday at 4:30.
Yeah.
She's moderating a panel, so we hope you can join that. And I hope that when Carolyn and Patty showed you that star quilt, you got excited about winning. So Joe, can you put up the slide for the online eval? That link is in your chat, and you fill that out and you put your name in the contact, and you will get an entry into a free drawing to win the beautiful star quilt made by Carrie Reed out of Omaha, Nebraska.
Okay.
And then we've got Bea saying, if you ever come to Omaha to teach a class, I want to sign up. So, okay. Then tomorrow we have our next powwow program. We're so thankful because yes, we are terribly saddened that we're not live in person this year either, but thanks for hanging in with us to keep knowledge flowing. And tomorrow at 2:30, Mr. John Henderson and Mr. Stephen Tamayo are going to demonstrate how you construct a teepee and talk about their experience with that, and also some about traditional lodge living. And we will have the question and answer led by Mr. Jerome Killsmall, who's of La Lakota. So we hope to see you at 2:30. Registration link is also in the chat. And I will see you all tomorrow, I hope. Thank you.
All right,
Pam.
thanks
Thank
a
you,
lot.
Carolyn. Carolyn, I'll
Thank
call
you.
you right away. All righty.
Thank you. We'll see you guys. Bye.
Bye.